as Sarah said, I'm going to be talking about the different ways that you can engage with not just the University of Portsmouth, but a lot of the ways I'm going to talk about all the universities that we've just referred to. You can work with them in similar fashions, maybe varying a little bit, but the common themes will be there. It's going to be a very quick run through because there's lots of different ways we can work with you. So this presentation will be made available. You can ask questions later to get a lot more details. So this is going to be quite a quick tour of the universities in this context. But before I get into that, I wanted to almost like build on what Sarah was talking about, collaboration, and almost like take it a step further and use the word partnership. So, I mean, what I'm sure a lot of you will recognize from your experiences, actually you tend to work best and get the most out of it when you have a real partnership with the people you're working with. You have a track record, you have a relationship, you've done stuff together, you have that trust to work together, you have that trust that if you're investing your time and effort, you know you're going to get stuff out of that. So that's what we look to develop at Portsmouth, and a lot of our other university colleagues do that. So what you can see here is around your business, all these things in yellow, these are a lot of the things that we do. Now, within your business, if we can do research with you, but also help you with staff recruitment and maybe some staff training, engage with product and process development, if we do multiple things with you, then on the whole, we both tend to benefit more. But having the confidence to do that comes from our track record and our relationships and our partnerships with you. So I think that's just something to keep in mind as I go through this, because that's where we would like to get to, so we all benefit the most. Things aren't just a one-off. Okay, so here we go. Just a little bit of a background setting, building on what Sarah said. So we've got this 2.4% of GDP that the government wants to be spent on R&D by 2027, and you can see that that basically means an £18 billion growth compared to 2017 when this was first announced. And sorry, 30 billion overall, but 18 billion of that has got to come from the private sector. So, okay, how's this going to happen? I think one of the key things is around confidence. It's around business confidence. It's saying does a business have confidence that if it invests in R&D, whether with a university or anybody else or with themselves, is it going to actually deliver the return on investment that they need? So I think confidence in the process and undertaking it is a really key aspect that we as universities are looking to try and help contribute to. So that confidence, the business has got to increase its productivity. So how can the universities help you increase your productivity to encourage you to spend more on R&D, which is what we need overall as a country, especially to compete internationally when a lot of our international competitors are spending a lot more on us, more than us, on R&D as a function of GDP. So what can we do? We can help you with new knowledge, new technologies, skills and training, innovation, access to equipment and facilities. All of these things have been shown to help increase the productivity that we do lack a bit. And this graph basically shows how more or less our productivity is for our work compared to some of our, let's say, competitor countries. So we're better than Japan, but we're quite a long way behind many of our other collaborators, as you can see there. So competitors, we might say. Okay, so here we start off with maybe the one that you're most familiar with, research and development. So we have different types of this. So the first one we might call blue sky, discovery research. This is about acquiring new knowledge, things that haven't been found before, things that aren't known before. Then we have applied research. So this is where it's more goal orientated. So it's less speculative. You've got more of an idea of what you want out of that research. You clear it on your objectives, maybe more specific around products and process development. So why would you want to do research and development? So with the university, access our deep specialist knowledge that lies within our academic community. You can get that advantage through that new knowledge. If you know it, other people don't know it, you know how to apply it, then that's a potential competitive advantage for you. Puts you ahead of the game and helps you develop that distinctive offer. There's various ways that we can do that on the right-hand side of the screen, and I'll come to those in a minute. But I think one of the key things about working with a university on research and development is to financially de-risk that exploration, because by its very nature, it's often uncertain as to what the outcome might be. So as a business, you might think, well, how can I de-risk that? Working with a university, this research can be, development can be grant subsidized. You typically won't have to employ permanent staff to do so. You get full access to the appropriate research facilities within that university, and you can try out ideas more freely in a financially de-risked manner. And I think that's really important. So, okay, funding, as I just mentioned. So applying for grants for research and development, it is a skill in itself. It requires knowledge and expertise to know where to look, how to write a successful funding bid. And doing this is what universities our speciality is. So maybe as a business, especially if you're a small and newer business, you might not have this expertise. We do, and that's something that we can work with you on. Regional growth projects, that's a lot of where today's meeting has come from. So previously from the EU and soon to be from the UK Shared Prosperity Fund, we get projects, funding streams get made available that allows us to apply for them to actually support business development within regions. And there's 3 projects listed on the screen there, all of which you'll be engaged with today. And they're quite sizable chunks of money that allows us to work with you in a business friendly manner. Consultancy, again, so this is consultancy like you would expect if you were procuring it on, let's say, the open market. The various services that we offer, and that can be that would typically be you engaging with an individual academic to access their expertise on a short-term basis. There are a few examples there of consultancy projects that we've done. Like most universities, we do quite a lot. And one example there I quite like is the Red Tractor work, which is basically helping them improve their certification scheme and the confidence that people can have in that through forensic audit techniques. And that's quite interesting because it's taking expertise from one area of forensics that we do and applying it to another. So that's quite an interesting example of how expertise in one area that we have can be applied to your needs. Knowledge transfer partnerships. So these are excellent way of businesses and universities working together. They've been around for 40 years. They're jointly funded by the government and the business. So what a KTP enables you to do, it's a partnership between ourselves, yourselves, and a recent graduate from a university. It doesn't have to be this university. And basically the graduate's part funded by Innovate UK, which is essentially the government, to work for 1 to 3 years on a strategic innovation problem of your choosing. So you've got something that you really want to develop as a company, you see it's an opportunity, you don't have necessarily the knowledge or skills in-house to do that. You can reach out to the university, find those expertise, and get somebody to come in for that period of time to help embed that expertise in your company and drive yourself forward. Commercialization. So universities, we develop obviously our research. Sometimes there is potential, let's say, intellectual property that arises from that, and we would look to exploit that. There are other ways of doing commercialization, but I'm just focusing here on that particular IP route. So we have a growing portfolio of intellectual property, but on the whole, we are a university, so we could look to spin out that ourselves, and that's something that this university has done, and most universities do. But more often than not, we recognise that the best people to deliver business value is a business. So we'll be looking for people to partner with to help us take our patents and intellectual property forward and commercialise that in a formal partnership with you. So we can also do spin in as well as spin out. So we're looking for that co-development, investment, licensing, spin out, joint ventures. We're very open to that, and we have a team of people who can work with you on that. Facilities. So we're a university, and like most universities, in fact all universities, we have a lot of state-of-the-art facilities. Often it's quite new, it's quite cutting edge, and it's a sort of equipment that maybe you as a company need but can't afford to buy because you don't need it all the time. You just need it in a one-off, or maybe it is just too expensive, etc. We can get you commercial access to those facilities, whether either commercially on a one-off basis, or these things can be accessed as part of joint research and development. But some of the areas that we've got are listed there, and so these are all accessible on a commercial basis. As Sarah mentioned, our students, along with our staff, are our greatest resource, and through student projects and student placements, this can be a really good way to bring in new talent into your organisation. So it seems almost so obvious to say, but the students are young, they're fresh, they're incredibly enthusiastic, they're well trained and skilled, and they can bring all that into your company to work on projects over a shortish period of time. And these go down really well. We do hundreds every year, and as pointed out to me by an owner of a business not so long ago, that a lot of our students go on to be employed with the company that they work with as part of their placement. And it's essentially, as it says here, a very useful, no obligation extended job interview. I think that's a great way of looking at it as well. Next one. So, of course, we're a university and we provide education and training. So, yes, there are the more, let's say, well-known degrees and master's courses and PhDs, but also all that expertise can be made available in different ways as well that's more accessible to you as a business if that's what you want. So shorter chunks, either let's say accessing existing knowledge that goes along, that's taught to our students in terms of their modules. We can take that content and adapt it for you, create entire bespoke bespoke programs. Hope we don't create bespoke problems. There's enough of those about. But basically, we can identify with you what your skills needs are and find if our resources, education resources, can be packaged up to deliver that need to you in some formats. And I think this is what a lot of businesses need. It's identifying that specific knowledge, training gaps, needs that that you have to eliminate the problems rather than create them. Again, something slightly different in terms of the training. I do degree apprenticeships. So if you have a payroll of more than £3 million a year, you'll be paying the apprenticeship levy. And if you have less than £3 million, you won't. But basically, these are a way for your organisation to attract and retain talented employees, develop your workshops. They can be of 1 to 5 year duration, depending on what they are. The good thing about these is, well, there's a number of good things. The apprentices obviously can apply what they learn straight away in their jobs. You don't have to wait for 3 years. Typically, they'll be studying 1 day a week or a fortnight on day release, or block release 4 days a week, a few times a year. And let's say the best news is at the bottom, especially if you're a smaller company, you don't pay the apprenticeship levy, the government subsidises up to 95% of the cost of these things. So there can be they need to make sure it fits your needs as a business and of the person involved, but there can be a very good way of upskilling your business. Innovation Connect. What this is at the University of Portsmouth, like most of the universities, we have our own estates facilities for housing businesses, especially young and developing businesses. So the reason for that is that we can provide space for people to come in. It's flexible, it's very well supported when you're in here, and it gives you easy access to the university and its staff and its facilities. So this is a great environment for you to come into early on, be supported and engage with the university. We have 3 main ones. So it's Cell Block Studios, which is actually the original old jail in the historic dockyard. Halpin House in the city centre, and Portsmouth Technopole, which for those of you who drive into Portsmouth, it's the building on the left as you come in on the motorway. And as I said, we have everything here from student startups to private startups to more established businesses with dedicated office space. You can recruit our students and graduates, which we'd be very proud of you if you do that. We get an awful lot of people being recruited straight out of the university. There are various ways that you can do this. So if you have a job that you want to make available to a graduate, we have a free online jobs board, which allows them to apply directly to you. And if you want something that's a bit more bespoke, try and actually just pin down and find the right range of applicants for a particular role, we have a team who can work with you to actually source graduates for your company. Okay, so finally, as I sort of said right at the beginning, the important thing is that we, working with the university, can develop a partnership. And part of that is it's understanding how we work together. And often, in my experience, the difficulties arise when because universities aren't the same as businesses, and people don't necessarily understand the restrictions as to how we can work, and that can lead to some stress. And in the same way, we need to understand the context that you work, so we don't misunderstand you. And one of the key things that comes up, it's people understanding how long things last. So if you've got a project or a need in your business, it's okay, on what timescale do I need to sort that out? Okay, so is this something that I have to sort out in 2 weeks? I need to sort it, or is it something where, okay, this is a long ongoing development project that we're going to considering over a number of years? So the different methods that ways of working with the university that I've talked about previously, what this slide here shows is the sort of timescales over which things happen. So you can think about what are your timescale needs, and therefore what are the right sort of activities. So undergraduate projects, undergraduate placements, postgraduate placements tend to be around a few months to maybe a year. Staff consultancy typically will be on the days and weeks, maybe stretching a bit into a month's level. Joint research and innovation projects, they can last almost anything from 6 months to multi-year programs, and this is often a good way to go because it shows we're developing those partnerships. Facilities use, days and weeks. PhDs tend to take 3 to 4 years, KTPs 1 to 3 years. So again, it's important to keep in mind what are your timescales so we can match the ways we can work with you. In the pink, that's slightly more about the training side of things. So degree apprenticeships, 1 to 5 years. CPDs tend to be days and weeks. Masters and MBAs 1 to 2 years, and undergraduate degrees typically 3 to 4 years, or maybe a bit longer. So again, this is just something to keep in mind to help you make the right decisions and have the right conversations with us. And obviously, we need to be aware of your timescales as well. So we don't recommend to work in a certain way, misunderstanding your needs. So thank you very much for listening. There won't be any questions because we're going to be picking those up later. But if you do have any questions, please put them down in the Q&A so we can pick them up and address them later. I hope I've not gone too over time, and thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Guy.